Welcome to the Unleashed Life, a financial empowerment and lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Renée Baker. After nearly 3 decades in corporate America, I took a leap of faith to pursue full-time entrepreneurship, realizing that while we can always get another title, we don't get another chance to create the life we truly desire. In each episode, we'll explore what it truly means to live unleashed, going beyond traditional finance advice to help you break free from financial constraints and societal expectations, cultivate a mindset of abundance and possibility, align your financial decisions with your personal values and lifestyle goals, and embrace authenticity in both your career and personal life. Whether you are seeking financial wisdom, entrepreneurial insights, or inspiration to live boldly, you're in the right place. Redefine success on your terms and join a community of women who refuse to dim their light. It is time to live the unleashed life. Welcome back to the Unleashed Life. I'm your host, Dr. Renée Baker. And today, I have the privilege of speaking to someone that I admire both personally and professionally, Mr. Gary Hartfield. Gary is an award-winning serial entrepreneur, a community leader, an author of 2 books, and was recently named an honoree of the Tampa Bay Hall of Fame. In addition to all of his wonderful personal and business accomplishments, as well as all the great work that he does in the community, he's also a father of 3 children, and that is a role that has profoundly shaped not only his leadership approach, but his life. So, welcome, Gary. So happy to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, listen, we have had the pleasure of doing a lot of great work in the Tampa Bay community. But one of the things that's been really inspiring is your entrepreneurial journey. So let's talk a little bit about what first sparked your desire to be an entrepreneur and take us into what motivated you to start your own business.
So what sparked the entrepreneurial kind of spirit for me was the path of least resistance, where in corporate, there is this concept called the glass ceiling. And as you're traversing and matriculating through an MBA program or a management program, you read about the theory of glass ceiling and the glass ceiling effect. And in my experience, as I transitioned, as I kind of was able to grow and get to the next levels of leadership in nonprofit and for-profit space, I learned pretty quickly that the glass ceiling did exist. And for me, I aspired to be the leader, the CEO of a Fortune 500, Fortune 100 company. So how do you get there when the glass ceiling exists? Either you continue to hit your head on the glass ceiling, compromise your personal truths, which was not an option because for me, as I shared with my children, I always wanted them to be unrelenting in their commitment to their personal truths. And for me, that's the same, to thy own self be true, as William Shakespeare has eloquently quoted. So with that, how do you navigate into those roles where you provide for your family, where you establish a legacy for your family and your community? So for entrepreneurship, and as I looked at it, it became a path of least resistance. Now, which is funny because entrepreneurship is very difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Almost everyone that you speak with will definitely say that
What?
entrepreneurship, it takes definitely a certain kind of soul
Right.
to endure, to persist, to sweat, to bleed, to cry, to endure through entrepreneurship. It is not for the lighthearted, and it is not for those weak in spirit. So all that being said, I journeyed into entrepreneurship because I wanted more. And I felt like not compromising my personal truths was the answer. So entrepreneurship gave me a way to exercise all of my intelligence, all of my competency, and everything that I brought to the table as a leader.
Yeah, thank you for so eloquently laying out the pain of entrepreneurship. But
Yeah.
as much as, we choose our heart, right?
Yeah.
So being in corporate America is not easy. And I spent almost 3 decades in corporate America before making this leap. And I'm not going to say you had anything to do with the encouragement of it, but there's a lot of inspiration that has come from your story and how you've been able to incorporate that. Now, given all of the challenges with all of the different things that you do in entrepreneurship, navigating that journey along with all of the work that you do in the community, along with being a father and being very active, how do you balance the demands of entrepreneurship and giving back in the community, especially as you say, to that own self be true? How do you navigate all of that?
So it's not easy, right? So in the book, he revisited the author speaks to, are you building a business or are you building another job for yourself? So if you're building another job for yourself, then you will not have the time, the flexibility to advocate in the community, to be a Uber dad for your 12-year-old son that plays every sport known man and plays in the band. So I think first, from an entrepreneurship standpoint, find out as it relates to your organization, make sure that you build a business, that you have good people in place that can maintain the business, that can grow the business, and you don't have to be there. Your role should be strategic management and establishing the vision for the organization. It should not be day-to-day operations. If it's day-to-day operations, then you just created another job for yourself. You haven't created a business. Now, for the kids and for community advocacy, that is definitely balanced. Family comes first. So making sure you show up for the kids because they will remember. At age 6, at age 8, at age 12, at age 18, at age 35, they will remember when you show up, and they love, even if they say that you don't necessarily have to be there, they want you to be there. So I'm keenly aware of that with 2 daughters and a son. My daughters are especially fond of me being there. I don't have to say a word, just my presence. My son, I don't know if he even knows. But he's certainly my kind of duplicate, right? And he is a great young man and inspiring engineer himself. But family first, and then being able to take family with you into the community as you advocate. What more of a tremendous opportunity, tremendous lesson for them to see how to lead, to see how to advocate and how to follow. And they're exposed to that. And whatever station that you find yourself in, if you're speaking, if you're listening, if you're leading, they are right there with you. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to duplicate. Absolutely. So that's how we build our children. That's how we build the next generation of leaders. So that's, for me, I think that's the balance, and that's how I approach it. Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And, your ability, to lead by example. I always tell you that you are who you say you are, which, you don't know him. He is who he says he is. Trust him on that. But your ability to show up for your community, while being a good example for your children is really, really important. And it helps other people, they have to see it to be it, but you're helping them to do that, which is not easy given how much you are involved in and how you show up in the world. Absolutely. But if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So, yeah. So if you think about, then I'm going to add a little bit of a question, because you are balancing your community, you're balancing your businesses. How are you taking care of yourself? So that probably is where I don't do a great job. As I've gotten older and matured a little bit more, I've been more mindful. So taking care of myself looks like making sure that I have an annual physical, making sure when I hit age 50 that I got a colonoscopy, making sure that I'm monitoring blood pressure, that I'm monitoring cholesterol, that I'm monitoring diabetes, because we want to make sure that our quality of life. That's right. is good, right? So all of the work that we're putting in, we want to be able to travel, we want to be able to enjoy the children, the grandchildren, and have a strong quality of life where we're not taking meds, where there's nothing debilitating or disabling. We're able to truly enjoy life and truly enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Yeah, we want to look good doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen,
Yes,
all
that
right?
is foremost. Yes,
So
absolutely.
if we pivot, and I think that's good, like
Yeah.
just making sure you're taking care of yourself, taking care of your health, because we'll get into a conversation a bit about wealth, but health is wealth.
Yes.
And our ability as we get older, some of us are getting older, some of us are just staying the same. But for people like you that are getting older, how are you, your ability to navigate is part of that journey to success.
Yes.
So I want to pivot a little bit to that because you've written 2 books.
Yes.
So your first book was Stand, which is an amazing memoir, by the way. And then you are giving us the handbooks. Why are you giving this information away? The Journey to Success. And you launched this in August.
Yes.
Right? So, and Stand was what, 2020?
2015.
2015?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. So what are those differences? What are the key differences between the two? And what inspired you? What inspired you to write those stories? So give us some more detail about that.
So I think true inspiration for writing comes in kind of the same breath and the same vein as entrepreneurship. A lot of times around the table with your girlfriends, your fraternity brothers, sorority sisters, talking about great things like what you're going to do.
Right.
And I love having those great conversations, philosophical in nature. We solve all the political issues and we talk about all the great things that we're going to do, right? However, only a fraction of those actually get done. It's only part of that conversation over brunch. It's only part of that conversation over dinner, and we never follow up. So for me, I've always been that guy who wanted to follow up.
Right.
So the first book, Stand, was probably the most difficult thing that I've had to do as a professional, as a personal individual that's trying to traverse the difficulties of life, right?
Well, why? But before, I don't know if you're going to tell us, but why was that so hard?
So writing a book, especially your first book, is tremendously hard because it is difficult to get out of your head what you think you know onto paper or whatever medium you choose to use. If you're typing in, if you're writing it, it's very difficult to get that out because in that process, what you actually learn is what you know and what you don't know. So as you're trying to get that out, that's an important part of the process because it enriches you in that way. It's cathartic, it's therapeutic as well. But it definitely forces you to understand what you know and what you don't know. And then even about yourself.
Right.
And then further than that, from a technical aspect, you have to now work with hopefully a writing coach or an expert that helps you understand the process. So most people, when they write, they want to get it 100% correct the first time.
Right.
So you've written the perfect copy, everything's ready to go. It doesn't work like that. So the idea is just to get it out in its rough form, get it out. And your writing coach and your editor help you get it together where it flows seamlessly, is grammatically correct, all the things that are necessary. Your job is just to get it out.
Yeah.
So that I think that's part of the process. That's what makes it so hard is one, understanding technically what needs to happen. And then two, understanding on a personal level what you know and what you don't know.
But you're also, I mean, in Stan, you got deep.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, they have to buy the book, but I mean, you go deep. And also I would add, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to be able to share yourself in such a way, and such a authentic way, and to put yourself out there, which you do in your business, what you do in your community, but you got a bit, you went deep.
Yeah, absolutely.
In that book.
Yeah.
And in this book, The Journey to Success, you go deep about your own journey. So can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to share your blueprint for success in business and in life in this latest book?
So what inspired me in this latest book was a truly phenomenal friend, in addition to you. Her name is Valerie Goddard.
Oh, we love Valerie. Like, wait, who? No, I'm joking. Edit that. No, I'm joking. So yeah, we love Valerie. Yes.
So Valerie challenged me before I wrote the memoir, actually, with a book. And she gave me a beautiful book with a copy of the title. And it was laid out in all the graphics and everything. So I got the book and I looked at it, and I'm thinking it was a book that she gave me just to read.
Right.
So as I'm looking at this book with the cover on it, the back cover, everything laid out, I opened the book and guess what was there? Absolutely nothing. All the pages were blank.
Oh, Valerie is genius.
Yeah. So she challenged me to write the book. So normally, under normal circumstances, I'm speaking, I'm sharing my story, I'm sharing about entrepreneurship, I'm sharing about my journey to success. She said, Gary, you got to capture that in a way where the story is able to be shared on a wider scale.
Right.
So as she challenged me and I read what she had to say, so she had a really nice note in there for me. And basically she challenged me to write the book, The Journey to Success.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And we thank you, Valerie. We
Yeah.
thank you so much
Absolutely.
for that, because in this book, I mean, you share a lot. And one of the things that you said was you can give people a recipe with all the proper ingredients. You can teach them and show them the way. But the biggest thing is to take action. And you get a lot into the actionable components, what drives you, what motivates you, what inspires you. But what in this book, right now, what would you tell someone to pay attention to? Because there's so many good pieces in this book.
So, yeah, I am extremely proud of this book. It has a tremendous amount of just rich content.
Yes.
And I spent almost a year writing it. The first book, it took me, I think, 3 years. This book took almost a year writing it. But what would I share? So I'm going to read an excerpt from the book.
Okay.
And this was pivotal in terms of what we were writing about and why we were writing. But even more so, I think it resonates with the reader in terms of what I want to do. And I think what most authors want to do is establish an emotional connection, a visceral connection with the reader. So in our sharing, not only are we sharing our story, but we are allowed to become a little bit more personal with that reader. And say, hey, I understand the trials and tribulations that you're facing. I faced them too. And this is how we navigate on the journey to success. So the excerpt reads, I hope this book falls into the hands of a young person dreaming about a higher level of education, maybe even a post-secondary education. I hope it falls into the hands of a man recently released from prison who feels the world is against him and that he can never be successful. I hope it falls into the hands of a single mother who can seem to just catch a break. She's tough as it relates to her finances, and regardless of how hard she works, she still can't catch a break. I hope it falls into a young couple's hands as they plan for a great future so that they learn lessons that they don't have to painfully experience. I hope it falls into the hands of a brokenhearted, spiritually wounded, divorced person and someone who just needs a little bit more air underneath their wings. Ultimately, I wrote this book for you because you're the one holding it right now. Amidst this crazy world that we live in, somehow, some way, this book has fallen into your hands. I believe that it's your time to realize your magnum opus, your great work. You didn't come by this book through happenstance or through chance. I believe it was ordained for this time. I believe in these infallible rules. Success be yours, being it's yours for the choosing. And it is for you to break the family cycles and maybe generational curses that you've been enduring. So that's an excerpt from the book. And I hope that it enriches you as much as it was enriching for me to write it.
Wow, that's so powerful. So you wrote this book really to equip people at different stages, no matter what you're going through, with tools so they can win.
Absolutely.
Right. And they can go on their own journey to success, because while we may all have different pathways into how we one define success, but also on that journey, and your experiences and what you've shared is something for everyone, no matter what they're going through.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which is very powerful.
Yeah. I think in my heart's heart, what I wanted to do is spark change. And I, in my humble and probably naive vision of the world, I'd like to change the world for the better.
Right.
And I hope that this book sparks that. Now, I can't live your life for you, but I can give you the spark that hopefully will someday change the world.
Why is that so important to you, Gary?
I believe that what we see so many times in this world is the bad parts.
Right.
We see the evil. We see sometimes, even in this country, egregious greed.
Right.
We see takers. We don't see givers. I want to show people a way that there's a way to succeed without being a taker.
Right.
If everyone is given are giving to each other, imagine the type of world that we would live in, and that it kind of promotes where people are. It's nothing wrong to try and gain more for your life and more for your family. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But the idea is that you do that in the effort of giving and not taking. So realizing that it's not a zero-sum game, meaning I get everything and you get nothing.
That's right.
That's zero-sum. It doesn't have to be that way. Imagine if I'm able to give you as well as I give myself, we all come up together, and this world looks totally different. I believe that's the way our maker and our creator intended it.
Yeah, and I think that this builds to something that I've heard you talk about, whether how you show up in the world, whether we're working on community outreach. You've spoken to students about this topic of social capital. And to me, at least, you're known for emphasizing the importance of social capital and how you've leveraged and utilized social capital in your career and in your community work. So can you talk about why this is such a crucial resource for people in general, whether they're in entrepreneurship or not, given that same idea of we don't have to just keep taking and taking.
Absolutely. So I will share with the readers that there's an article in Forbes that states the three most important forms of capital. There's human capital, financial capital, and social capital. The most important form of capital that stated in this article in Forbes is social capital. The idea is that you can get financial capital, you can get human capital, you can get every other form of capital if you have social capital. And to that, I believe it is essential, it is pivotal to being successful in whatever you aspire to in life. I know that to be the case. So in my personal experience, I've written 3 articles in Forbes about social capital. And I've seen it work in my life where social capital has opened doors. It has given me entree. And what I've tried to do, and this is a important tenet about social capital, is that it is reciprocated. It's not reciprocated in the idea that, okay, it's a quid pro quo. It is truly reciprocated based on genuine desire and intentionality.
Yeah.
So with social capital, the idea is to really garner relationships, to be intentional about reciprocity, to be intentional about helping each other and lifting each other up. And it may not come directly back to you. It may happen to your daughters. It may happen to your son, where they're giving access or entree to something because you were so generous. You were so beautiful in how you showed up for someone else. and they want to reciprocate and do that for your child. Maybe they're trying to get into Harvard, or maybe they're trying to get that first job, and that person is able to open the door and give them an entree. So social capital, I think, is what will transition this generation of human beings from where we are now into the next evolution of kind of being for the human being.
And what's nice about that is because it doesn't matter. Any of us can leverage social capital. It doesn't
Yes.
matter where you are economically.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter your race, your gender. Social capital is something that we can all leverage. It's a tool for all of us.
Yes.
And it starts to balance out and even the
Mhm.
playing field just a bit because we're giving and we're seeing the benefits of that.
Absolutely.
You have a great example in this book
Mhm.
around how social capital showed up for you and for your children,
Yeah.
which is really positive. But I don't think that the phrase social capital gets enough of visibility.
Yeah.
And you definitely spend some time talking about it, but it also shows up in your work. So talking about your work,
Yes.
you do a lot of community service. So that's how we met. We had the pleasure of doing a lot of great work together for a local charity.
Mhm.
And I guess I'll say it.
Yeah.
So United Way Suncoast for Admiral Society.
Yeah.
So for a couple of years, I was the chair,
Mhm.
and you recently took over after stellar leadership of being the chair. And I think one of the things that I've always appreciated about the Admiral Society is that it is representative philanthropy in action.
Yes.
So how does that idea of representative philanthropy in action, how does that guide your work, and how will that guide your leadership? Not just with Admiral Society, because you do a lot of great work across the board, but specifically showcasing that representative philanthropy in action.
So thank you, number one, for your leadership with United Way Admiral Society. That phenomenal job. And
No, I'm too sick. Yeah.
and actually, under your leadership, we were able to come up with our tag, the representative philanthropy in action. So I think for me, it continues to show up in what is near and dear to my heart, and that's being, again, to thy own self be true. And what does that look like? So that looks like an African American male that shows up in the community, that is lending himself in financial means and means that volunteer my time, my talents, and in essence, tithing and pouring back into the community with a genuine interest in seeing the community evolve. So I think for me, that's representative philanthropy in action, where I'm taking a divine principle of tithing and applying that throughout the community and being an example. I'm not just telling young men and women to do these things. I'm actually showing them. I'm being an example. And I'm also saying to those in our community who may not understand the full value of showing up 100% authentically as you are.
Right.
I want to show them that it's okay to show up authentically as you are and exercise advocacy for underserved groups and not be ashamed of that. But I think it has to be represented. I think it has to be demonstrated. And I think it has to be proven successful. And then hopefully others will buy into it.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And
Yeah.
there's a great number of amazing leaders that
Yeah.
are also working alongside us, really, in continuing this great work
Yes.
and continuing to show up. So you've done a lot. I mean, whether we're thinking about your journey to success and your success as an entrepreneur, your role as an investor, your role as a father, community leader, and most recently Tampa Bay Hall of Fame honoree, which was a tremendous accomplishment.
Yes.
But you've done so much. And I usually don't like asking this question about what's next,
Mm.
but so I'm going to pivot a little bit. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind, Gary, that you can share?
Yeah. I think for me, as I think about this quote by Irma Bombach, she quotes that, and I'm paraphrasing, that at the end of my life, when I meet my creator, that I can say to the Creator that I use everything that you gave me. I have nothing left. And that, for me, I think that's the legacy that I want to leave, that when God receives my soul, he can see that I absolutely have nothing left. So I think for me, that's the legacy that I want to leave. Yeah.
Well, thank you for all that
Absolutely.
you do, and
You're
thank you for
welcome. Thank you for
continuing
having me.
to, of course, and just continuing to show up. And we hope that we can get so much, we'll continue to get squeezed as much as we can out of you. And I really do appreciate not just what you do, how you show up in the world.
Thank you.
And thank you for your leadership and for all that you do. I always say you are who you say you are. You give unselfishly, and including myself, you give to others in such a positive way. So I want to share with people, how can they connect with you, learn more about your work, get a copy of your book? How can they do that?
So very easy. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, just directly utilizing my name, Gary Hartfield. My website is garyhartfield.com. The book is available at all bookstore outlets, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and so forth. So just simply Googling Gary Hartfield, I think I'll be pretty easy to find.
Well, we're so happy to have you. Yes, look up the book, and just thank you for showing us what representative philanthropy in action looks like, how to leverage our social capital, and for sharing all of the wonderful secrets to the journey to success. So
you're welcome.
With that, we say thank you. And I always say thank you so much for joining us in today's episode. Please remember that the best is yet to come, not just in your professional life, but also in your personal life. So until next time, continue to live life unleashed and know that you can be great in any way that you want. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on The Unleashed Life. I hope today's episode has inspired you to break free from financial constraints and societal expectations, cultivating a mindset of abundance and possibility. Remember, living unleashed means aligning your financial decisions with your personal values and embracing authenticity in both your career and personal life. It's about progress, not perfection, as we journey towards financial empowerment and the lifestyle we truly deserve. If you found today's episode to be of value, please take a moment to rate and review this podcast. Your support helps us reach more women ready to unleash their potential. And don't miss out on exclusive content and insights by signing up for our monthly newsletter at reneebaker.com. It's packed with actionable tips to help you continue your unleashed journey between episodes. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and join our vibrant online community to share your own unleashed moments and connect with like-minded individuals. Until next time, keep breaking barriers, embrace your beautiful, authentic self, and live life unleashed. Remember, it's never too late to rewrite your financial story and step into your power with purpose. As always, be great, and the best is yet to come.